How's it going, everyone? What's up? Welcome back. So in this little video here, we're gonna go over pretty much what, in my opinion, you need to do in order to start a game store. Now, it's gonna be different for everyone. I'm just gonna tell you what I did to get my life sort of in order before I opened the doors and before I opened the store. Because if you don't, it could be very dangerous, especially, for what just happened with Commander Masters. You're going to need certain things in place to get you through to the next sort of set or thing or whatever. So this just doesn't imply just a game store or whatever. This is for any business, anything in general you want to open. A game store is kind of a little unique because of, most of them are started as like a passion project or people that love cards or love collectibles and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why their success rate isn't as high as a normal business. I mean, normal business in general is hard anyway. But the game store, the reason why most of them closed down is because it was started as a passion project from someone who pretty much, I don't want to sound abrasive or a jerk, but someone who shouldn't have been in business in the first place. So these are things you could do to increase your chances that you'll be around in 5 years. So the thing that I did once, I realized that I wanted to open a business, and it wasn't a game store. I wanted to do e-commerce and do Amazon and just do e-commerce in general. It wasn't a game store. I wanted to just start a resale business of, wholesale goods and things like that, which I started right before the pandemic, and it kind of snowballed when the pandemic came. It was like insane because everyone was locked up, everyone was inside. I had a crazy amount of inventory that I just got started in the business, and it just went crazy after that. So this is what I did, to sort of start. I know in my last video I mentioned that I was debt free, but that really wasn't always the case. 5-6 years ago, I had a 420 credit score. It was abysmal. It was terrible. But I met my wife, and she, was always great with credit. And she kind of coasted me to that sort of path to get my credit in order because, hey, it's good to have good credit. You could do things with credit. And when I was a kid, in my mind, I got credit cards, and I'm like, I bought it already. Why do I need to pay for it twice? So when I was really young, I opened a crap ton of credit cards, maxed them all out, and never paid for them. And then never had credit since then, since I was 18 years old. So that stuff kind of bites you in the ass when you want to open a business. Get your credit in order, get everything paid off, get debt free. Not a single dollar of credit card debt. Now, the thing that I did, and I like to do everything as aggressive and as crazy as possible, I did this thing called the debt snowball. Now, it's something that Dave Ramsey teaches. I don't agree with everything he says because he says you have to buy a house in cash, and that's just insane. That's crazy, crazy, crazy insane. Maybe not now that the interest rates are 8% or 9%, whatever they are, but back when I bought my house, interest rates were like 1.5 to 2%. So, yeah, don't buy your house in cash. Take out a loan. So, what I did was I aggressively paid off my debt. Literally, I had a spreadsheet. Every single extra cent that I made went towards my debt. Like, I'm talking about down to the penny. I would not have an extra penny to do anything else. And I told it was my girlfriend at the time, I said, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything for a number of years because I got to get this shit in order. And she was down for it because, in the end, it helped us both out if we have, good credit together. So it took years. Just paying off the debt alone, probably as aggressively as I did it. And I was working 60, 70 hours a week at my job. This is when I was working at, I was loading trucks in a warehouse, but we got paid well. We got paid $38 an hour, I forget. But we got paid a decent amount of money to load trucks. And it was unlimited overtime, and I would work every weekend, 12-hour days. I did it because I wanted to pay off my debt, and I wanted to build a nest egg for myself to start my business. So it took about 6 to 8 months to pay off all of my debt. After that, I started saving aggressively. I saved up a $50,000 kind of cushion for myself for the business before I even opened the doors to the business that I wasn't allowed to touch. This is emergency money, just in case something comes up, like we just experienced. And sometimes that nest egg, little emergency nest egg, won't be enough. Sometimes it isn't because of just this stuff is expensive and it requires a lot of money. And sure, you could, fund your business off of debt, which is what a lot of people do. It's, what I do. Everyone does it. You don't take out loans to start a business. It's not off of loans. It's off of debt, interest-free debt. So, credit cards, credit lines through Amex Business. That's a great tool because you can how it works. This is how it works. Jesus, I'm bouncing around. So, you buy it on a credit card. Citi Double Cash is the best, one of the best. Amex Platinum is also good. Then you could use your Amex line of credit, pay off the debt, and then it's just a nonstop cycle. You can almost have 60 to 90 days if you time it right from when a set comes out to when you need to pay for it. It's just bounces to the next, to the next, to the next. Sure, that could get a little dangerous, but if you have 90 days to sell something or 60 days to sell something, it's almost impossible unless you completely implode your business to not be able to pay it. Even if what happened, to me, what I did, purchase a shit ton of stuff that I shouldn't have, and then it craters to the ground. Even if that happens, if you have that emergency fund in place, you have enough time to pay off your bills, you have enough time to sort of jump into the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and wash, rinse, and repeat this sort of credit card, 3-card Monty that a lot of people do, and it's kind of, because no one starts one of these businesses with 7-8 figures. It's just, they do something else, something better, something that's higher profit margin, get into real estate. That's what people do with an insane amount of money like that. When you're starting a business with 50, 60 grand, even 100 grand, this type of business, that's normally what people start with in this type of industry. From all the people I've talked to, from all of the other game stores that are in my network that I talk to, that's normally what people start with. And 9 times out of 10, they start after their career. So they're already retired. They already have a pension. They already have health insurance. Thank God my wife has health insurance, or else it would be almost impossible. So those are things that you have to do to get to the point to where you even thinking about opening up a game store. You have to get your life in order. I don't want to hear that like, oh, I'll never own a home, so what does it matter? You should own a home. You shouldn't pay rent to someone else to live. You shouldn't. You should own a home, sell it, or buy another home and another home, and then eventually, once you have enough homes, you get out of this business and start real estate. I wanted to have a real talk, like a real conversation with all the new subscribers and new people, just wondering what it's like to open a small business, because this is interchangeable to any business in general. Sure, this business is a little unique with the, resale and the buying of collections and all this other stuff where, we used to make the majority of our money from. That's just not the case really anymore. It's very hard because, TCG Player's a thing. We utilize it, but, collectors, players, they also utilize it too. The easier and easier it gets to sell cards, the harder and harder it's going to get for us to compete with buying cards. Which is why on TCG Player, the buy list is almost at what the cards sell for. So it's like, what's the point? Which is why, like, in the near future, every new tool that comes out for a seller, it's also there for the collector and for, the average consumer. Now, sure, Magic, it's hard for them to hang on to a player base for more than 2 or 3 years. They sort of come back, leave, come back, leave. That's just how it is. But the more and more it becomes easier to sell cards, the harder it's going to be to make a profit. Now, sure, you can combat that with doing different things like selling on different platforms, multiple platforms, marking up your cards in person, and that sort of keeps you afloat for a little bit. But the more and more, like I said, it becomes easier, the less and less people are going to actually trade in their cards for cash or for store credit. Now, if you bump up your store credit to a ridiculous amount, of course, people are going to trade in their cards because, they get more in store credit than they would for cash, but it comes to there's a diminishing return to that as well. I don't want someone trading in like $800 worth of $3 cards and take 2 of my dual lands, because those dual lands come in. I've only had, a full collection of duels come in my business once in 2 years. It's hard. It's not as easy as you would think it is. And there are other unique ways to buy cards like Facebook Marketplace, all this other stuff, but I stay away from all that because of the flakiness and just the untrustworthiness of people, and basically the same reasons why a consumer would stay away. I just don't want to deal with it. It's a headache in the end. So I guess the whole topic of this video is, you have to have your personal finances in order before you even think about opening a small business, not just a card store. It could be anything. If you want to actually jump in, lease a property, lay out all this money, and have personal debt you still have personal debt for yourself, it ain't gonna work out. because even the way I did it, with having, a $50,000 emergency fund for the business and 3 years of full expenses saved, it's still hard. And just saying that right now, like, it's kind of enlightening. Because sometimes when you're, working 16 hours, 12 to 16 hours, and you're like, is it worth it? Sometimes it doesn't feel like it is. And then other times it's like, wow, I'm so glad I did this. But that's just owning a small business in general. It's like a roller coaster, man. It's like this. It's like, we're great. This is great. And then, we're bankrupt. Oh, wait, no, we're not. This is great. That's just small business in general. It's very cyclical. It's up and down, and it's nonstop. And it's easy to say from like a customer's point of view. When I say, I work 16 hours, 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's kind of easy to say, just hire someone. But like we have 4 people on payroll, and it costs money to hire someone. Even if you do minimum wage, you still have to pay unemployment tax, you have to pay disability tax, you have to pay did I say unemployment tax? I think I said unemployment tax. But there's all these things you have to pay every time you hire a new employee, and then you actually have to pay them too. So it's kind of easy to say, but believe me, I'm still learning. This is still a learning experience for me. I don't have all the answers. I just have enough answers to get you to the point where I'm at right now. Which some of you might not want to be at. But that's it, man. It's a grind. It's a roller coaster. It's emotional. It's gratifying. It's insane. But, in the end, it's probably all going to work out and be worth it. So, get your shit together. Start now. Pay off your debt. And start building that little nest egg for your business, because you don't want to get into a sticky situation like this and not be able to jump into that emergency fund, pay your bills, and then start building that emergency fund again. Because in a month, if I didn't have an emergency fund, it might be a different story. It might be a different story. We might not be here right now. Seriously. You gotta get your shit in order before you start any business. I sound like a broken record now, but I can't stress it enough. But I'll see you guys later. Peace.